¿A dónde está papi? 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 ¿A dónde está papi?
Yeah, I know I should go dry my eyes. You're right, I'm too emotional sometimes. Don't laugh, you know I can't keep it cool. No, not like you do. Lost inside our conversations wherever I go. Ooh. Yeah, I guess we all got our own ways to go. Yeah, and it's like nothing has changed. I tell you all about my days, even when there's nothing to say. I talk to you when I get caught up in the waves. I know you're not far away. It's like we're still face to face. I talk to you, you, you. I talk to you, you.
Welcome to the Tuesday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Tuesday. Welcome, everybody. Cosmic Seeking, Michael Hasser, Alio Share. Welcome, everybody. Sorry about that, folks. All right. How's everybody doing? YouTube, that's right. Follow, subscribe, do the thing. Do the YouTubes, everybody, if you haven't done so. All right, folks. We have a few things to talk about. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that, Alio. Yeah, that's a completely unsurprising development, right? I mean, like, yeah, everybody should have seen that coming. All right. Hey, how come the YouTube link didn't work? Well, don't bother with the trolls. Depends. They're funny enough. What? I think the bot is asleep. Well. We've been hacked. The Freedom Caucus saying to stop government because of Trump cases. Well, I don't know if they can do that. Oh, well. I mean, it is what it is. I don't know. The bot's asleep. I don't know. Maybe it'll come back tomorrow. Who knows? Half the trolls you're arguing with them is a turnoff. Well, it's not a turnoff to me. Sometimes I think it's funny. Just depends. It just depends on the mood and what and how they come. How they come. It's really just that. All right. Everything looks good to go. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what happened to the bot. I guess it's gone. Took a vacation today. Oh well. What if I just put the Stream Elements bot? No. Okay. I don't know. It is what it is. House Republicans launch unhinged threat to keep Trump out of prison, announced that they will hold America hostage. You mean the, Yeah, well, I'm not an entertainer. I mean, there is an entertainment aspect to the show, but no, unfortunately, I'm not a very good entertainer. I'll give you that. Yeah, so no surprise there from the Freedom Caucus. All right, folks, we've got some stuff to go through. See if we can clear it. All right, so yesterday we were supposed to cover this, and we did not have time. So we're gonna run through this.
I'm Ben Meiselas from the Midas Touch Network.
Hey, Heat, how's it going? Welcome.
The 14th Amendment, Section 3, can be used to disqualify Donald Trump from running in 2024, as it can disqualify anyone involved in insurrectionists from ever running for office again. It's in the plain language of the 14th Amendment, Section 3. And there has been a lot of discussion lately about the 14th Amendment, Section 3, following a law review article by two Federalist Society members, two right-wing legal scholars who call themselves originalists, who did a 126-page originalist interpretation of the 14th Amendment, Section 3, and they arrived at the conclusion that with 100% certainty, the 14th Amendment, Section 3 can and should be used.
Okay, but like that's not certainty though. It like basically they're saying that there's grounds for it. Yeah, I don't know. I like that you're into the Midas Touch channel. I mean, if there's a pertinent video, then yeah, of course we're gonna cover it. I hope so too. I just don't share the optimism in that sense. But I guess we'll see. Or maybe I just don't understand the full scope of it. I mean, I think if that's true, and if it's correct that these well, you know, plenty of people who know more than I, then it should be, right? It should be. They should invoke that 14th Amendment and bar this guy from running. I mean, that's literally the correct play to do. Given all of what's happened, yeah, that's literally the correct thing to do.
To disqualify Donald Trump and others involved in the insurrection from running for office. Now, it should be used. The question is, at a practical application, will it be used? Is it self-enforcing?
Yeah, like that's my question. He just worded it better than I did. That's basically my question, but you just worded it better. Anyways.
What would litigation look like under the 14th Amendment, Section 3? Let's break it all down, but let's talk first about the law review article written by William Baude and Michael Stokes Paulson, two Federalist Society originalist legal scholars, who wrote a law review article called The Sweep and Force of Section 3. Next, let's talk about how retired Judge Luttig, a former Court of Appeal judge, joined forces with Lawrence Tribe, a Harvard Law scholar.
And like, if like the Federalist Society wrote this, like they're not exactly friends of the left, okay? The Federalist Society is a pretty like right-wing kind of organization. So I think that tells you a lot. Oh, you do understand if it's not used, then they're trashing the validity of the entire Constitution. Everything becomes optional. I mean, I agree that if there's absolutely no consequences to the behavior that Donald Trump has engaged, and including not just Donald Trump, including all the other fuckers who decided that that they were going to participate in insurrectionary behavior or stoke the flame of what happened. All of those people, the fake electors, all of them. Hello, 19-year-old account, 19-hour ago account. You want to talk about no consequences? True, dude. Hey, who's currently in hot water for crimes? Yeah. I mean, like, it's so sad that, like, immediately the defense isn't to try to counter the accusations. The immediate defense is to try to go to whataboutisms to immediately deflect from the topic at hand. Instead of, like, offering a counter, and saying, like, why these charges or why these accusations or allegations are invalid. Instead, immediately you deflect to, what about the Clintons and the Bidens? I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about either of them. To think that, like, that constitutes, like, a gotcha or that constitutes as a good argument is it's pretty pathetic, honestly. Yeah. MAGAs are very quick to stand on the Constitution when it suits them. They don't give a shit about anything except power. That's the thing. Like, fascists don't really give a shit. Like, fascists don't care about the Constitution or the rule of law or freedom or any of that. They don't care. They'll use it. Until it's not useful to them anymore. And they'll pretend they give a shit about the country. They'll pretend they're, like, patriotic or whatever the fuck. They'll talk about like America or patriotism or whatever. They don't give a shit about any of that. None of that. They don't give a shit about Americans. They don't give a shit about the working class. Nothing. None of that. So yes, of course they'll stand on the Constitution. Because they don't care. They're not tied to it. Doesn't matter how hard they tell you that they care about the Constitution and the rule of law. At the end of the day, they actually don't care. The Constitution is meaningless to these people unless it facilitates their ability to get power. That's it. That's the only time they'll care. And him and haw about the Constitution. They don't give a shit. It's not our guys versus your guy. We actually care about democracy. True. Like, hey, listen, bro. If you told me tomorrow that fucking Joe Biden is in some hot water because of like some new evidence came out and now he's gonna be like indicted or some shit, I wouldn't give a shit. Honestly, I would be covering it just the same. A sitting president indicted for whatever. Damn, that's fucking newsworthy. Of course, I'd be covering it. But I don't need to fucking do whataboutisms to prove my point. Anyways. Was GOP talking points? Well, Biden's racist too? Probably. Does Biden have 91 felony counts? No, Biden's been in government too long. True. He has. He has been in government too long. Multitasking today. MMO just dropped. And X-Pac. Gotcha. Welcome, Conscious Canuck. Or is it because Trump has nothing to vote for? Yeah, I mean, literally, there's not a single reason. In fact, like there's like everything to vote against any Republican. Period. Full stop. The current there's no reason to vote for Republican at all. There's absolutely no reason to vote for Republican. There's every reason to do what you can to eliminate these people from power. Okay, that's it. Like, that's it. It's not, oh, I like the Democratic Party. It's, we got to get these people out of power, period, full stop. The consequences of Republicans winning elections continues to manifest itself in uglier and uglier ways. So, I mean, this is just my opinion, but I think that we should do everything in our power to eliminate Republicans from power. I mean, like, that's just like the moral and good and logical thing to do. And I mean, just broadly speaking, objectively, it's the correct and right thing to do. Yes, your video. We're getting to it. We're finally getting to it.
Both have very kind of different judicial and legal philosophies, yet both Larry Tribe, Lawrence Tribe, and retired Judge Michael Luttig also agree with William Baude and Michael Stokes Paulson about the interpretation of the 14th Amendment, Section 3. So there is widespread agreement from people who have diametrically different judicial philosophies and theory, and people who would normally disagree about a lot of ways to interpret the Constitution. Mostly every serious legal scholar now agrees, and I stress serious legal scholar, agrees that the 14th Amendment, Section 3, can and should be used to disqualify Donald Trump. So let's get into this law review article, this groundbreaking article by Baude and Paulson, the two law professors. And this is...
Yeah, I mean, like, again, if there is a viable path to do this, 100%. That is the appropriate response. When somebody engages in this type of behavior, when somebody literally tries to overturn the results of an election, and I don't mean like try, I mean like they genuinely put a plan in several states to overturn the election, and then encouraged, and whether you agree or not, in my opinion, supported insurrectionary behavior. At that point, like, you just shouldn't be allowed to run for president. Sorry. You should not be allowed to run for president. And all those fuckers who were fake electors and Republicans who helped in these schemes should also be axed. They just shouldn't be allowed to be in the political sphere, period. If we value our freedom and our way of life, Democrats, Independents, and Republicans alike, Republicans are MAGA. They're literally the same. So I don't know why we're even lumping them together. Republicans in every corner of this land, before they seize much more political power, take full control of the police state apparatus of oppression that we can no longer turn back. True. That's why I keep screaming into the abyss. But they won't have power, so they can yell into the abyss. That's why okay, I get you. Yeah, the point being is that they cannot be allowed to continue. They cannot be allowed to continue to win elections, and the folks who have engaged in this type of behavior, namely Donald Trump, if this is a viable pathway, I think they should do it. I think it's the correct thing to do, right?
is what they say. Section 3 has long since faded into history, but their thesis ultimately is
I thought the MAGA Republicans are about their no. The MAGA isn't just a small section of the party. It is the party. It is literally the party. The biggest front runners and the biggest rock stars of the Republican Party are MAGA. They're all, it's the same shit. Like it's all the same shit. You have people like literally the winner, the front runner that is currently up by 20 to 30 points in the national primary for president is literally Trump. I mean, I don't know what else to say other than that. I mean, that kind of slam dunks the argument, right? That it is the Republican Party. So you want to simply eliminate the only party of the two-party system? That's not actually what I said. That's actually literally not what I said. Way to completely miss the point. MAGA controls the money and the platform. Exactly. And say it more clearly. It can't be more clear than how I said it. If you engage in insurrectionary behavior, then you should not be allowed to run. I don't understand what you said. MAGA is the Republican Party. It is. Who is the front runner of the Republican Party? Who is currently the front runner of the Republican Party, winning the nomination by more than 20 to 30 points? Who is the current front runner? Who is the face of the Republican Party? Marjorie Taylor Greene? Lauren Boebert? Donald Trump? Josh Hawley? That is the Republican Party. That's who controls the Republican Party. You said two completely different things in two different sentences. You said, so you want to simply eliminate the only other party. I never actually said that. And then you said MAGA is the Republican Party. Yes, those are two completely separate points. Anyways. But if people have a blue wave, the GOP will have to change, even if the GOP is 15 years. No, they're not going to change. They've been down this path. They've been down this path for decades now. They're not going to change. They're not going to change. They're not going to adapt. Until all of them either implode, or the party becomes something else. I mean, there's no. At this point in time, at this juncture, they're not going to change. They're not going to change.
It shouldn't. It says reports of Section 3's demise are greatly exaggerated. It turns out that
yes, that's literally the only option. We outvote them. We eliminate them as much as possible. We get them out of power by outvoting them. That's it. That's the only play right now. That's literally the only play electorally wise. That's it. You vote against them. Period. Alio with the 11 biddies. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. You vote against them. Period. Full stop. That's it. So which party is the option to replace the Republicans? I have no idea. That's not my concern nor my problem. If he's convicted in Georgia, I would think a number of blue states would not allow him on the ballot, effectively killing his run if he isn't in jail by that point. I mean, they should. Honestly. Constitutionally, they should. But we'll see.
Section 3 of the 14th Amendment remains of direct and dramatic relevance today, a vital, fully operative rule of constitutional law with potentially far-reaching contemporary real-world consequences. Section 3 remains in legal force and has a broad substantive sweep. Here's what it says. Now I'm going to read for you what the 14th Amendment, Section 3 says. It says, no person shall be...
Yeah, like we read this word for word, but I guess like I either I just didn't have like a second to kind of like absorb what it was telling me. But yeah, we also have to vote him out in the closest states too. Hillary outvoted him, but not in the right spots. Yeah, I agree. Not just because like it's strategic, not just because it's the strategic thing to do, but also like when it comes to this kind of scenario, it is ideal. It is ideal to beat him overwhelmingly, because if it's a close race, and granted, I still think it's going to be close if he isn't in jail, if things go, if things end up being where he's going to the general election, and he's going to face off against Biden, right? And the general election happens. In my opinion, as of right now, until something changes my opinion, until more data changes my opinion, I am of the opinion that it's going to be a close race. And that's not good. That is not acceptable. So yes, we have to overwhelmingly vote him out, essentially, or vote against him, overwhelmingly, because his whole shtick is that the election is rigged, right? His whole shtick that he's been bullshitting for 3 years is that the election was rigged. And putting a scenario where, again, it's a very close election, it's just a recipe for disaster. That's why Trump is whining. Either no Trump trials or have all of them in 2026 after the election. Trump is worried. Yeah, I mean, I think he's in hot water with that. I do think he's in hot water, and rightfully so.
A senator or representative in Congress, or elector or president and vice president, or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state, who having previously taken an oath as a member of Congress or as an officer of the United States or as a member of any state legislature or as an executive or judicial officer of any state to support the Constitution of the United States shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. But Congress may, by a vote of 2/3 of each house, remove such disability. And it talks about how this section on the 14th Amendment in general was passed following the Civil War. Then it goes to its 4 main points about the 14th Amendment. And it basically says, first, Section 3 remains legally operative. It is no less part of the Constitution than other provisions of the 14th Amendment. It is not a dead letter. The Constitution is a binding, authoritative, written text, not a collection of specific historical purposes and intentions. Where the text applies, it applies. Its legal force is not limited to the immediate problem or purpose that prompted its enactment. Section 3 is not limited to the circumstances of the Civil War and Reconstruction, even if the meaning of its terms may be illuminated by that experience and history, nor has Section 3 somehow been repealed by Congress's 2 major 19th century.
Yeah, like if that was the case, then it wouldn't be in the Constitution. Nor do I believe, to my understanding, can Congress mess with the Constitution. Congress can't change that. I believe there's two ways of amending the Constitution. None of them involving Congress, to my understanding. Do you reckon the Dems might run a second candidate should it get tighter in the polls? I think you said they wouldn't last a week. I don't know if I said that, but I don't think they're going to run anybody. They've got who? Marianne Williamson and like the other guy, RFK Jr., and none of them are even close. So no, I don't think the Dems are going to run anybody else. Or rather, I should say, nobody's going to run in. Nobody else is going to run in the Democratic primary. Not this time. If you ask me, there might be a more open field in the next election. But I just don't think that anybody else is going to. I don't think anybody else is going to run right now. The SCOTUS might change the 14th Amendment, possibly. I don't think they can. I don't think that's within their ability. To change the Constitution is very specific, right? Like, I don't believe the SCOTUS can do that. How to change the Constitution. Oh, I think Congress can propose an amendment, but I don't think they can pass it. I don't think they themselves I don't think Congress themselves can do anything. They can propose an amendment, but I don't think. Yeah, it has to be a convention of states, but I don't think that they can do it themselves. If that makes sense. The simulacra welcome. The SCOTUS can say it means something different, like they did to the second with Heller, but can't actually change it. Right? Gotcha. Yeah, the state, the Congress can propose it, but the states have to ratify it. So no, the Congress cannot do it. I mean, they can propose an amendment, but the states are the ones that have to effectively vote on it. And I believe it has to be 3/4 of the Convention of States, and that has to be ratified by the. Sorry, I'm reading it right now. The amendment must then be ratified by 3/4 of the state legislatures or 3/4 of conventions called in each state for ratification. So it requires 2/3 majority in both chambers for Congress to even propose it, which is unlikely. Yep. So Congress itself cannot make the amendment, but Congress can propose it. And to even do that, they have to have 2/3 of both chambers. So that's not happening. This is not a thing. That's not going to happen. The California guy, Gavin Newsom isn't going to run. Not this time. He might run next presidential election, but I don't think he's going to jump. If he does, then it is what it is. I'll take my L. But what can the U.S. What about the U.S. government? Is operating by normal convention these days? It doesn't matter. They can't do it. They can't do it unless, like the simulacra says, 2/3 of both chambers have to approve that proposal. And then it has to be ratified by the states. So it's just not. No. Anyways, the U.S. House is with Trump, but the U.S. Senate is basically agreeing with Biden. Right. So the 2/3 to even propose an amendment isn't gonna fly. And again, it would have to be ratified by the states. So it's just not a thing that's gonna happen. Not at this time. So no, the 14th Amendment cannot be undone, so to speak.
Statutes granting amnesty to those covered by Section 3. This is not because it would be impossible for a constitutional provision to expire by its terms after a period of time or upon the occurrence of a particular event or upon action taken by future actors. Article 1, Section 9, for example, created a constitutional prohibition of most congressional regulation of the international slave trade for a period of 20 years, but its prohibition then vanished in 1808. Section 3, however, does not work that way. It imposes a general prospective rule of disqualification, which Congress may remove by 2/3 vote of both houses only once it has occurred. Section 3 is prospective. Congressional amnesty is not retrospective. Second, Section 3 is legally self-executing, something I addressed at the outset of this video. That is, Section 3's disqualification is constitutionally automatic whenever its terms are satisfied. Section 3 requires no legislation or adjudication to be legally effective. It is enacted by the enactment of the 14th Amendment.
Wow, so if that's the case, like, so basically what I understand, is theoretically, by default, Trump shouldn't be able to run, period. The only way that, that could be reversed is if 2/3 of both chambers agree to eliminate that, which, as the simulacra pointed out, that's 290 House reps and 67 senators agreeing on something, which is not going to happen at this time. Husky Canvas, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Welcome.
Its disqualification, where triggered, just is. It follows that Section 3's disqualification may and should be followed and carried out by all whose duties are affected by it. In many cases, Section 3 will give rise to judiciable controversies in the courts. In others, it will be enforceable by state and federal officials, but no prior judicial decisions and no implementing legislation is required by Section 3. In other words, it is incumbent on the state proceedings to just not include Donald Trump on the ballot. Sure, that could be justiciable in the sense that Donald Trump could file a lawsuit and say, I want to be on, but you don't have to get judicial permission to remove Trump or insurrectionists. In other words, just take them off the ballot. Their disqualification has already occurred when they supported the insurrectionists.
I know a lot of you watching are entrepreneurs. You run your own business, and I run a business.
Hey! Go chill on your own time, sir. Fu Manchu, how's it going? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad I finally caught a stream at the new time. Welcome. I'm glad you did. Trump will challenge everything if the 14th Amendment is actually viewed and reviewed legally or legal opinions by Congress and or SCOTUS. Yeah, but Congress has nothing to do with this unless they move to vacate that barrier. Unless they choose to remove that barrier that prevents him from running, Congress has nothing to do with anything right now. Only if they make that decision, but that requires something that's impossible at this time. This is not going to happen. Hey, come back.
Extent of any support.
netsuite.com/Midas to get your own KPI checklist.
Third, Section 3 supersedes or satisfies earlier enacted constitutional provisions to the extent of any supposed conflict between them. Section 3, at the time it was adopted as part of the Constitution, imposed a disqualification from office based on an individual's past conduct. Even if imposition of such disability might otherwise, if done by statute, have been forbidden ex post facto law or bill of attainder, Section 3 of the 14th Amendment constitutionally supersedes any prior provision conflicting with its terms. The short way to just interpret that is there's no other contradictory statements in the Constitution that would override the 14th Amendment, Section 3. And fourth and finally, Section 3's disqualification is sweeping in its terms. It disqualifies from future office holding persons who engaged in an expansive and encompassing term connoting many forms of participation, interactive support of a broad swath of activity covered by the terms insurrection or rebellion, or the giving of aid or comfort to enemies of the nation or its constitutional order.
Like, here's a question. Here's an actual question. With these people, with these domestic terrorists that were convicted of sedition, would that be considered an enemy, a domestic enemy of the United States? Would being convicted of sedition mean you are a enemy Yeah, I think so. So by giving aid and comfort to these groups that were found guilty of sedition, I think that by default it would fall under this here. By definition, okay. So yes, if that's the case, then yeah, yes. If you especially with like these Proud Boys, who literally admitted, or at least tried to make as part of their defense, that it was Trump who basically made them, or they believed that they were doing Trump's orders or whatever, and they were convicted of sedition. That, as you mentioned, by default, if that makes you an enemy, or by definition, if that makes you an enemy of the state, then I think it's safe to say that the logic follows that, you know, by default, Trump should not be eligible to be on the ballot. Neocat, welcome. Thank you for the follow. What's wild is that he would lose his right to vote, but not to run if he goes to prison for anything other than sedition. Yeah, but he, but according to what I'm understanding here is, like, constitutionally, he is not eligible to run. By giving aid and comfort to enemies, domestic in this case, he would by default not be eligible to run, and the proper course of action would be for the states to take him off the ballot. That's what I'm understanding.
It applies to a broad swath of civilian, military, and legislative office holders who swore oaths of fidelity to the Constitution, and it disqualifies such persons from holding in the future any of the extraordinary broad swath of public office. Taking Section 3 serious.
I agree. All that rides on the conviction, which may or may not happen in the time. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't happen. It doesn't have to happen on his trial. He already provided aid and comfort to convicted seditionists, right? Like that's why they're bringing this up, because it's not just you yourself who committed treason or sedition or insurrection or rebellion. It's by giving aid or comfort to enemies of the nation. So by default, if you're guilty of sedition, which the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys both were found guilty, I would argue, or I would posit that Donald Trump has given aid and comfort to the enemies of the United States. Makes you wonder why greater legal minds haven't taken that path. Maybe it's not as cut and dried as it seemed. Well, he's going over a paper that a lot of legal scholars wrote in support of doing this. Like people who are constitutional, like lawyers, wrote a 25 page paper in support of making this happen, or urging this this path. I mean, to be fair, this has never happened before. But they're arguing, and of course, much more knowledgeable than I'll ever be. They're arguing that it's by default and it should already be a thing. That has to be proven in court, though, and even then it has to be proven to a judge likely appointed by Trump. You won't officially be disqualified without a conviction. Maybe. Maybe. Like I said, to be fair, we're going to enter a lot of gray area, but I think it's a bit long and drawn-out process, and an oversized bread slicer is much more efficient.
Seriously on its own terms means taking seriously the enormous sweep of the disqualification it creates. And we argue taking Section 3 seriously means that its constitutional disqualification from future state and federal office holding extends to participants in the attempted overturning of the presidential election of 2020, including former President Donald Trump and others. The substantive terms of Section 3's prohibition are not themselves difficult or inscrutable, even if there might be questions of application at the outer edges of the text meeting, but they are potentially breathtaking in their straightforward consequences, right? And they're saying the consequences are, see you later, Trump, that's it. You are gone. And so next the question is
I love bagels too. How's it going, Echo Wrestle Dragon? Welcome.
well, then how do you apply it? What Bowd and Paulson argue here is that the way you apply it is you just apply it. In the States, you don't put Donald Trump on the ballot and let Donald Trump sue to put himself on the ballot. It's self-executing is what they argue. And you don't have to request judicial permission or pass a law. And again, let me reiterate, these are two originalists. These are Federalist Society people. These are people who you would think of would naturally be supportive of somebody who's identifying as a Republican, but as...
Yeah, like if you have two people like from the fucking Federalist Society making like a fucking entire argument as to why this guy should be removed, in fact, that you don't even need to ask permission, like judicial permission. You just fucking get him off the ballot, and if he sues, then it is what it is. If like these people are arguing for it, like I don't know, man. I feel like it should just already start being a thing, which is like, again, Republicans at the end of the day don't really give a shit. This is literally part of the Constitution. Do you think like Republicans in red states? Do you think like Republicans in red states are gonna fucking do this shit? Are gonna automatically execute like their duties, their constitutionally demanded like process? No, none of these Republican states are gonna do that. So it is what it is. I do like that idea. Yeah, I mean, they definitely they make a pretty good argument, and it's coming from the Federalist Society. So I mean, forcing him to sue to get back on the ballot, however, that also fuels his claims of it being rigged against him and embolden his supporters. Yeah, anything that he does is always going to be on the back of that. Anything that he does or doesn't do is just gonna it's always gonna be on the back of that, right? It's always going to be rigged, in his opinion. It just feels so wrong to allow him to run, but I'm not a fascist, so let the Constitution speak for itself. Right. There are similar people pushing for the GOP convention to throw the nomination to someone other than Trump in 2016. Members of the Federal Society opposing Trump isn't new. Good point. Good point. Maybe even the Federalist Society saw the writing on the wall and how disastrous it could be. True.
As a Republican has gone full MAGA, that has changed. And I'll leave you with this. Let me show you this video right here of Lawrence Tribe, joined by retired Judge Michael Luttig, and this is how they describe their interpretation as well. And the fact that they agree with each other, I think, is something very significant. Play the clip.
What has brought our article forth is some magnificent scholarship by Professors Baude and Paulson that is forthcoming in a law review from the University of Pennsylvania. Their monumentally important contribution that they have made is that they have demonstrated that what might have been is not, which is to say this. Section 3 of the 14th Amendment means exactly what it plainly and clearly says, specifically, as you just read.
Yeah.
Any person who previously has taken the oath of office to support and defend the Constitution of the United States, and who then engages in insurrection or rebellion against the United States and the Constitution of the United States, shall not thereafter hold, in this instance, the office of the presidency of the United States. That language in the Constitution, Jim, simply could not be any clearer. It is unmistakable in its application to the former president. The only thing that was not known until Professors Baud and Paulson did their scholarly work is whether this was the actual meaning under the original understanding of the Constitution. And the professors confirmed and demonstrated that indeed it was.
So, folks, the question then is, what has to happen? And as I said before, it's going to require at the state level people.
Yeah, which already is like, okay, that's not going to happen. So the Republican states aren't going to remove him from the ballot. That's just not a thing that's going to happen. There's no state that matters for the presidential election that would do this, though. True. The House has nothing to do with the regular judicial process, though. They're practically a higher court in that regard. Yeah, the House has nothing to do here. The House has nothing to do here. The only time the House would play a role is if, like, let's say, like, the 14th, like, the actual Constitution was followed. The actual Constitution was followed to the T. They would remove his. The only thing that the House could do is vote to remove that barrier and allow him to run. And that has to be done by 2/3 majority in the House and the Senate.
Making the courageous decision and just saying we're not putting insurrectionists on the ballot. They can do that now. Alternatively, maybe there will be when there is maybe the epiphany comes, which there should happen now, after there is a conviction of Donald Trump in the Jack Smith case against Donald Trump, and but you don't need that. Trump doesn't have to be convicted for him to be removed. It should just be taking place already. But then the question is do you think certain MAGA-controlled legislatures are going to do it? I think that's probably less likely to happen.
Yeah, that's gonna be a no. that's not a thing that's going to happen. We're never getting actual justice. I mean, I don't know if we're gonna get like the justice that we seek. But I think, if anything, this is as close. That this is as close to seeing something. Especially when it comes to Donald Trump. The dude's, in my opinion, he's pretty fucking cooked. But who knows?
And I also think as a practical matter as well, MAGA's losing a ton of its support. Republicans are losing a lot of its followers as they've taken over as MAGA's taken over the Republican Party, and the question is do you go this route or not? But I wanted to give you the legal analysis, why it's being talked about right now, and explain to you the kind of significant bipartisan support of really everybody other than members of Congress, the MAGA Republicans in the House, the MAGA Republicans in state legislatures too, MAGA Republicans in the Senate are kind of full Trump cult. If they weren't, this would actually be fairly, I think, easy to implement, and there would be broad consensus.
Yeah, I mean, like, that by itself kind of tells you that the Republican Party is the MAGA Party. There's no difference. There's no fundamental difference because the people that are currently running the show, when it comes to like the Republican Party, are MAGA, and the people that are not, they aren't really doing anything about it, right? MAGA has the base, MAGA has the power in terms of like the Republican Party. So de facto, it is the MAGA Party. There's no distinction. There's really no distinction. Actual justice would be against Twitch TOS in a video game, hypothetically.
To do it. I'm Ben Mycelis from the Midas Touch Network. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 1.5 million subscribers, and check us out as well at MidasTouch.com for all of the new breaking news.
Jeez, 1 point something million? Wow, almost 1.5 million. Nice. All right. Moving on.
Maybe I'll have to leave the country. I don't know.
The soon-to-be out on bail and former President Donald Trump is once again openly discussing the idea that he could just fly away somewhere else.
No, first of all, he cannot. Where is he going? Where exactly does he plan to go if that's the case? Russia? Jimmy Crackcorn, I don't care, Jimmy. I wish I knew what that meant. How's it going, Itchy and Scratchy? In some states, people can ask for Republican or Dem ballot when they vote. That's interesting. I've never heard of that. How's everyone? Personally, I'm hanging in there. I'm tired. Not gonna lie. It's an old song. It's an old joke song about farting. Oh, ha! Watch him go to North Korea. Well, it'd have to be a country with no extradition, right? No extradition.
To escape
rules.
all of this. So, in this video, I will show you the latest example of Trump discussing how he may be a flight risk. I'll also get to just how realistic that is. And
Like, joke or not, joke or not, I think that like that alone, at least that's how I knew it. As a kid looking it up, it's much worse. It's about slavery. Oh, good Lord, Jesus Christ. Well, how did a song that ended up about farting is actually about slavery? Yikes. Trump is the reason why lawyers say, shut the fuck up. True. True. Yeah, let's not do that one, Itchy and Scratchy. Let's not do that. Yeah, definitely. I didn't know either. Thank you, the simulacra. Thank you, Michael Hassler. Trump is the reason why lawyers say to shut the fuck up. True.
and maybe a couple locations where he could flee to. And starting here, I'll get to what is happening this week in Georgia to kick all of this off as his co-defendants are beginning to surrender. So this is the news from Hugo Lowell here, saying Fulton County DA has advised several of Trump's co-defendants that they should surrender at the jail around 3 a.m. Eastern if they want a quick turnaround on their booking, because it could take hours during the day. So we are already seeing the first couple examples of this. So the first co-defendant to turn himself in was Scott Hall. Hall is a former bail bondsman, and he was involved in the infamous breach in Coffee County, in which Hall successfully gained access to a voting machine on the orders of fellow...
Hello, two-day account. I laugh at the how quick the left was called January 6th an insurrection. Now it makes sense. I mean, that's literally what it is. Do you need a definition? Do you need a definition of what an insurrection is? I mean, I've done this before. Like, if you want to play fucking games, I mean, if you want to come, like, at least come correct. Like, I mean, it's pretty fucking obvious. Anyways,
co-defendant and former Trump attorney Sidney Powell. So he's the first one to surrender to authorities. You also have John Eastman here, conservative lawyer. He was also saying he will fight the charges and has turned himself in. He's agreed to a $100,000 bond.
like the more these clowns feel the need to try to twist themselves into pretzels, A, the funnier it is, and B, it's quite telling how instead of refuting any of these accusations, you folks feel the need to twist yourselves into pretzels and perform Olympic levels of mental gymnastics. Fulton County distributed on a hammer on Dominion and filed a request, a desperate request for extension on center, which is legally required by friendly. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm more interested in what happens overall in the case, but we'll see. I mean, like, the guy has to surrender, right? There's no option. He's going to have to turn himself in or face bigger problems.
And he was, of course, he championed the legal theory that Trump used to pressure Pence to overturn the election results. So he's deep in this as well. I have to think, though, there are 16 others. Is anyone going to flip? Because at this point, if you have the opportunity to, why would you stick with Trump and not just flip? Now, that doesn't mean that they're looking for anyone to flip. That doesn't mean they're going to offer these people.
Right. Can you imagine, like, in the trial, all these, like, well, I don't know if all of them, but, like, enough of them start turning on each other because there's so many, there's 19 co-defendants, right? 19 people that got indicted. And guaranteed these type of people don't strike me as the type of people that really give a shit about anybody but themselves. So it would be really, really funny if it ends up being the case that they start eating each other. If any flip on Trump, I hope they have good security. True.
Anything if they...
For sure, it's going to be fun to watch these snakes go at each other. I mean, if that's the case, then yeah, that would be amazing.
If they choose to do so. But if they have that opportunity, why would you stick by Trump still when he doesn't care about you? He doesn't care about anybody but himself.
And so neither do those people. Let's be honest.
Here,
neither of those people, okay? They don't. Neither of any of those people give a shit about anybody but themselves.
No, they would not. The prosecution, I don't think, would need anyone to flip. They have everything they need at this point for Trump. But as Insider writes here, legal experts told Insider that the large group of named co-defendants, as well as 30 unnamed co-conspirators referenced in the indictment, may prove to be an advantage to the prosecution because some of them could feel compelled to flip on Trump and cooperate with the prosecution in exchange for shorter sentences or other favorable outcomes. So legal experts are saying it may happen, but at the same time, I'm wondering why would they need anyone to flip on him? They have what they need, so just throw them all in jail. Like, I don't give a shit. At this point, they're all guilty. And yeah, so, we'll see where that goes. But here is Trump's first reaction to all of this on Truth Social, discussing that he will be turning himself in.
Can you believe I'll be... Oh my God. Can you believe it? I'll be going to Atlanta, Georgia on Thursday to be arrested by a radical left attorney, District Attorney Fannie Willis. Yeah, dude. Known radical leftist Fannie Willis. Comrade Fannie Willis was overseeing the greatest murder and crime disasters in American history. Not true. In my case, the trip to Atlanta is not for murder, but for making a perfect phone call. I mean, like, the dude knows he's cooked. He knows that phone call. He knows that phone call has him dead to rights. Like, legally speaking, if in a normal, I did everything right. I did everything right, and they indicted me. Oh man. I did that quote will forever live in politics. Yeah, known leftist, a fucking prosecutor. Flip just makes it seem like a lynching. I realize the term is common parlance over there, but it screams of witness tampering to me. No, flipping means like you are testifying against your other co-defendants. I don't know if that's what you meant, but yeah, flipping means that like these defendants are gonna testify against Trump or each other. That would not be witness tampering. What Trump did was witness tampering. But no, getting defendants to testify against each other to save their ass is what they're hoping. Well, I don't know if they need it, like David said. I don't know. Yeah, to testify for the prosecution instead of the defense. No, nothing like lynching. Exactly. I'm so glad the radical left is here to save us. True. Fannie Willis is the face of radical leftism. True. Welcome, spread it forward. You know that this guy knows he's dead to rights because he keeps harping back to the very perfect phone call. That's literally the evidence that started all of this investigation. It's on fucking tape. Witch hunt.
Can you believe it? I'll be going to Atlanta, Georgia on Thursday to be arrested by a radical left district attorney, Fannie Willis, who is overseeing one of the greatest murder and violent crime disasters in American history. In my case, the trip to Atlanta is not for murder, but for making a perfect phone call. Yes, the perfect phone call where you pressured Georgia state officials to find you votes to win the state. Yes, the perfect phone call. She campaigned and is continuing to campaign and raise money on this witch hunt. This is in strict coordination with crooked Joe Biden's DOJ. It is all about election interference.
Yeah, to be clear, I think this is just like a Georgia investigation. I don't know. Anyways, I've known people to lie their arse off in order to get out of trouble, even hypothetical. Yeah, but you can't really do that. You can't really do that. If you lie, especially if you flip and you lie in behalf of the prosecution and you throw the case because you lied, and they find out, you're done. Because not only did you lie, but you catch more serious charges too. Yeah, so it's not exactly no, it's contempt among other things.
Yes, it is all about your election interference. Like this man. I mean, essentially, he's saying this once again.
I did everything right and they indicted me.
I did everything right and they indicted me. Oh man, damn. David beat me to that idea. I wish I had that idea. I need a freaking like soundboard. I need my soundboard back, okay? That's what I need. I need my soundboard. I need my soundboard back. His New York accent cracks me up. I did everything right and they indicted me. Need that as a sub notification. Yeah. Oh, man.
In strict coordination with crooked Joe Biden's DOJ. It is all about election interference. Yes, it is all about your election interference.
Yeah, like a soundboard is definitely needed. I need to find a way to get my hands on a freaking tablet, a tablet that will support the software that I need for the soundboard, because the soundboard that I had, or rather the tablet that I had for the soundboard, I don't know, it just stopped working, and it just stopped working for that purpose, and I just couldn't get it back to work.
Like, this man, I mean, essentially, he's saying this once again.
I did everything right and they indicted me.
He did everything right, and they indicted him. How dare they? Now, as the AP writes here, the president is barred from intimidating co-defendants, witnesses, or victims in the case, including on social media, according to the bond agreement that he signed. It explicitly includes posts on social media or reposts of posts made by others, which we have already seen him do, as I covered last week.
Sorry again about that serious mistake. That might not prove anything, but some of you might remember saying, well, that white supremacist would be in serious danger if they would be sharing a cell with me, but I have been in trouble for even sharing that kind of info. I mean, you don't have to, as long as you understand, then it's all good. Especially after a couple people pointed it out. That's all good. True, Heat. I like that dino emote. How do I get... Do we all get it? Or is that like special emotes? Dino dance? Oh, yeah. Hey, look at that. I like that.
When he pressured on social media the former Lieutenant Governor of Georgia, Jeff Duncan, about his testifying, and that he shouldn't. So this is why that's in there. This is where we get to the flight risk, potential flight risk. That is Donald Trump.
The real estate market is rapidly shifting. So
Whoa!
If you're thinking about selling a house...
Followed up that last Truth Social with this, saying the failed district attorney of Fulton County, Atlanta, Fannie Willis, insisted on a $200,000 bond from me. I assume, therefore, that she thought I was a flight risk. I'd fly far away.
So not only did he joke about it. Wait a minute. Was that video? Was that video from the beginning of the clip old? Huh. I'm always checking the global section for new ones. We call it, We Can All Dance. Yes. True.
Maybe to Russia, share a gold-domed suite with Vladimir, never to be seen or heard from again. Would I be able to take my very understated airplane with the gold Trump affixed for all to see? Probably not. I'd be much better off flying commercial. I'm sure nobody would recognize me.
Yeah, exactly. How would
so
how would the logistics work on that one, okay? You think that you can just get on a plane without a passport? How does that work? Or do you know somebody that's going to give you a completely, entirely, fake identity and nobody would recognize you? The former president of the United States? All right. I don't know if he's awesome, but yeah, I think the word is disturbing and delusional.
It appears he's poking fun at the idea that he would escape. But he has discussed this before, so I'll get to a couple examples. And look,
the troll in chief.
I'll get to my thoughts on this, because I don't think he's going to do this, though I do go back and forth, because, I mean, I don't know. If I were in his shoes, it's hard to picture that, but if I was, and you have you have properties all over the world, you have friends in other countries, if it's clear to me as Donald Trump that I am gonna face some repercussions here, I don't know. You're that wealthy, you're that well connected, you can probably find a way to escape. I'm not saying he should. I don't think he should. I want to see him behind bars. But if he is aware of what he is up against, it would be surprising to me if he didn't consider it, is what I'm saying. That said, before I get to some of that, I want to show you just the stuff we see on Truth Social here. This is what he is retruthing on Truth Social. This person, who knows if they're real or not, again, it's impossible to know. But this is, this is what they posted. His only crime, loving his country too much. Yes, I will vote for him no matter what. This is an ongoing meme that is going on, or I don't know, meme or campaign slogan that
loving
is going on
his country
Social,
too
but,
much.
The I will vote for him
So
no matter
much
what.
so
Here's
that
another example
he,
of that.
so much so that he would betray it. You should hold a press conference and ask the media, how am I going to scrub this orange out?
Someone else posted this that he retruthed. They indicted the wrong president, with a quote saying, accusing the other side of that which you are guilty.
Which is ironic. Because didn't he spend, 3 years at this point? At this point, it's 3 years. Accusing the Democrats of rigging the election, while it turns out that he's the one that attempted to rig the election, i.e., he is doing exactly this. Russia, if you're listening, I need you to find me a way out.
What? Look, I'm sure we could discuss things that Biden may be guilty of. I would consider him being guilty of not really fulfilling his campaign promises and not putting enough pressure on people like Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema. But that's a different discussion. He didn't try to steal an election. He didn't try to have a fake slate of electors and have this whole plan to pressure different states to flip on who they decided to that won that state. Like that, there were no calls of Biden calling into other states or I don't know, Hillary for that matter, back in 2016, calling other states and saying, "Hey, can you find me 11,000 votes?" That didn't happen. Trump did that.
He's still laboring under the misconception that politicians can indict people. True. Wait, did that bloke husband Biden for not putting pressure on the congressman? I don't know what that means, but I'm going to try to interpret using context clues. No, he's just basically saying that, like, he's just basically saying what I said, which is basically that this meme is literally him. He's the one doing this. Projection, exactly.
First of all, can you imagine if Hillary Clinton did that? If there was a phone call of Hillary Clinton calling, I don't know, Pennsylvania and saying, hey, come on now. You could find me a few thousand votes. Can't you? Like, imagine if that phone call existed.
Dude, if that phone call existed, like, till this day, we would never hear the end of it. The Republicans would be talking about it till this day. Okay? Republicans would be talking about it till this day. If that ever
Trump
happened.
would come out and be like, oh, completely innocent. She did nothing wrong. It was the perfect phone call. Come on. So it's all just this is all so ridiculous.
A-Bond with the 100 biddies. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
But to get back to the flight risk, Mehdi Hasan also floated this idea last week. Let me play you his clip.
And he's afraid of the law. And listening to John speak there about, you know, him being booked and what might go through his mind. I genuinely think we need to start having a discussion about whether this guy is a flight risk. And I don't say that lightly. I would never have said that even 6 months ago.
I don't either.
But the closer we get to trials, the more serious it becomes. Looking at how hardcore these indictments are from Smith and Willis, looking at the risk Trump is in. I don't know if you saw him joking, quote unquote, joking with his followers the other day.
Republicans would hold hearings on that until 300 years after Hillary's death. True. Yeah, Benghazi. But it would be even worse. And like, actually, that would be pretty freaking bad. Like, that wouldn't be like some manufactured like thing to be outraged about. That would be serious. That would be serious. You know, he's crazy enough to do it. Maybe. I don't know. I don't think so. If you ask my opinion, I don't think so.
I wish I was in France right now, not in America. You know, nothing is off the table with this guy. So I genuinely think we've got to talk about what is his exit strategy apart from plea? Does he have anything else he might want to do?
So Mehdi Hasan, for me, is one of the more trustworthy pundits in political media. There are very few of them, I think, in mainstream press, whether it's MSNBC, CNN. But Mehdi Hasan has been consistent. He does fight for the right things generally, and I do trust his viewpoint. That said, I think he's guilty of what a lot of us are guilty of, and that is being in our own heads. Because we're thinking, well, if we have that much power, we're clearly guilty. We know we're guilty as criminals. Again, being in the mind of Trump. You have that much power, that much wealth. Why wouldn't you just escape if you can? Trump, I don't honestly think... At this point, I don't think Trump has really come to terms with the fact that he may face repercussions. Think of his entire life. He's gotten away with everything for decades and decades and decades. His lawlessness. He's gotten, whether it's cheating on his taxes, whether it is discriminating, the discrimination he was charged of along with his father when it came to housing.
Not
a
paying
variety
people.
of things he has done over the years that he has faced no repercussions for. So why would he think at this is the time where he's finally going to face repercussions? Why would somebody who thinks that they may be found guilty of something, why would they take documents and not from the White House and not give them back when asked? That's all he had to do in that indictment. Before that indictment happened, is give those documents back. He was asked again and again and again and again, and he refused. And then he got indicted. Why would he have done that? Why would he have kept these documents if he thought he would get indicted? If he thought there were going to be some repercussions? So I don't think Trump...
Fact is, they would have gone hard on somebody else doing the same thing. Yep. Significantly worse things have happened in Libya than Benghazi. True. The fact he was a Democrat until he ran, just saying. Okay. Don't see how that's relevant.
Trump is in the mindset of someone who is guilty. I'm sure he knows he's a criminal in the sense that he did these things he's accused of, but I don't think he thinks that there's going to be any repercussions for what he did. So it's possible he doesn't get to that point until he hears guilty in the courtroom, because I don't know what else it's going to take. Which goes to why I don't think he's a flight risk, because I don't think that he thinks he's going to face anything. But that was a clip from August 8th. Let me get to one from, the clip that Mehdi Hasan mentions from August 8th. Let me show you that clip now, and then I'll get to one from 2020 as well.
They know it's a phony story. They say he's going to go to jail. These are not Mrs. Lewandowski. You hear that? Can you imagine if that were these kids? Can you imagine look what your husband got me into? I could have been relaxing at Mar-a-Lago or in the south of France, which I would prefer being in this country, frankly.
So that's Trump, August 8th, saying that...
Wait. If you would prefer to be in France, what is he doing here? Bye.
He'd prefer to be in the south of France than in the USA. A very un-American thing to say. But these sorts of speeches, all these speeches for him, they're therapy. He goes there to just unload, say whatever's on his mind. This is This is what he loves, which is also part of the reason why I don't think he would fly away, why I don't think he's a flight risk. He loves this attention. He loves the media attention. He loves the crowds. For him to what? What's he going to do if he goes and hides in, Saudi Arabia? What's he going to do? He'll be bored. Like he loves the attention. And that in conjunction with him not believing he's going to face anything, I think goes to why he's not really a flight risk. Though, again, I go back and forth on this because we don't know what's in Trump's actual mind. He may be actually worried at this point because he should be. Let me get to another example now. This is from 2020. This is before the election against Biden that he, of course, lost.
Democrats are bad
Here's
as
what
they
he was
are.
saying
They
back
do
then.
at least require literacy
Running
standards.
against the worst candidate in the history of presidential politics puts pressure on me. Could you imagine if I lose my whole life? What am I going to do? I'm going to say, I lost to the worst candidate in the history of politics. I'm not going to feel so good. Maybe I'll have to leave the country. I don't know.
I mean, he never did, though. Maybe he should have just pieced out. In the context of why he would think he's not a flight risk, in the grand scheme of things, he's been rubbing shoulders with Dems his entire life, and Republicans. Again, I don't understand why him previously supporting Dems, which he did. I don't know what, if any, relevance that would be. Right? It doesn't matter what politics, what party he supported back then. It's what he's doing right now is what's being scrutinized at the moment.
All right, so that clip is, at least appears to be more in reference to that he would be so embarrassed about losing to Biden that he would just flee the country. Well, he chose a different route, which is just deny that he lost. In hindsight, maybe he should have left then. Would all of these charges be coming down if he just wasn't in the country? I mean, I would hope, because he's still guilty of all these things. But if he wasn't in the country, then he likely wouldn't be showing up for any of it. But now that he's in the country and this is all going down, it's kind of hard for him to escape in the middle of it. But before I get to my final thoughts on this, let's just imagine. Where could he go? All right, so I mentioned Saudi Arabia earlier because for obvious reasons. His ongoing connections, business dealings with the Saudis. So there's this is back in 2018. Saudi-funded lobbyist paid for 500 rooms at Trump's hotel after 2016 election. I mean, and I covered that back then as well. This corruption has been.
We talked about this too, or at least I remember reading about this. He's gotten away with everything. That's his mindset. True, 100%.
Well documented throughout his presidency. You also have last year's Live season. Live is a golf company owned by the Saudis. So the Live season culminated in an event hosted at Trump's course in Miami. And this season, Trump Properties will host 3 Live events. In other words, 5 of Live's 22 events in the 2022 and 2023 will be held at venues in Trump's business portfolio. You also have Kushner's connections. So his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, the Saudis invested $2 billion in Jared Kushner's business after the election. So there's all these various business ties. He also has other.
In general, billionaires get away with shit. This fixation on Dems is weird. I agree. That's why I'm asking, what is the relevance of this? I don't think it makes a difference. He's an oligarch. He's an oligarch through and through, and has always circumvented normal laws.
Business ties to properties in Saudi Arabia. So again, in this fairy tale land where he does escape somewhere, Saudi Arabia possibility. Another one. This was floated by Maclean's. This is back in 2020, after they were thinking about maybe he'd leave if he lost to Joe Biden. They write here, if the president becomes an international fugitive, he will seek sanctuary in Dubai. So they're they go through a variety of different places you could fly to, and for them, the UAE earns a perfect score. But they also bring up Saudi Arabia as well, Russia, of course.
Yeah, I mean, countries that have a non-extradition treaty,
Trump's not,
or that don't have an extradition treaty.
Trump is not going to go to Russia. Like, why would he go there? He wants to be somewhere, I don't know, in the sun and drinking champagne. I feel like Russia's a little too combative for him to really enjoy. That said, I don't think he's going anywhere. So Newsweek writes here, while Trump could attempt to escape his legal troubles by living in exile, the likelihood of the former president escaping undetected is very low due to both his global fame and the fact that he travels with a Secret Service security detail at all times. So he'd have to shred that Secret Service detail. I think he would feel a little exposed at that point. And of course, escaping undetected, also tough for Donald Trump unless he flies in his golden jet plane. But I don't know. So there is one thing he is escaping, though, and that is the debates. So the debate on Wednesday, which if
Tomorrow.
I can cover it live on YouTube, I will. There's always questions around copyright. Sometimes they care, sometimes they don't. It is fair use. It's commentary while showing a debate. I'm not just recasting it, but I'll see if I can cover it. If I can't on YouTube, then maybe on Twitch, but I'll post about it on the community tab, which you'll be notified of if you subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to get all notifications. You'll be notified if I post on the community tab about where I may be streaming this. But the debate is going to be DeSantis, of course, Vivek Ramaswamy, Mike Pence, Nikki Haley, Tim Scott, Chris Christie, Doug Burgum, and Asa Hutchinson. I'll get to my predictions when we get to the debate, but I don't know. I don't know. I think for my personal enjoyment, Chris Christie will likely perform the best because he'll be attacking Trump. The others, I don't care for. I don't care for any of them, including Chris Christie. Chris Christie's also a terrible person, but he's just the one that is more willing to actually attack Trump on a consistent basis. So I'm all down for that.
I mean, I don't know if we're gonna find anything of value. To be honest, I'm so incredibly disillusioned with the US, but I'm excited for this debate. I don't know if we're gonna actually find anything of value. To be honest, I bet my house he's not gonna bowl. I would agree. I don't think he's going anywhere.
There you go. Debate coming up. Trump flying away, maybe? No, I don't think so. But
I don't think anyone thinks he's leaving. I mean, like, I understand why people could think that way, but I don't think he's going anywhere. I think the simulacra, putting it out earlier, he's gotten away with everything. To this point, like, he doesn't. I don't think he feels, and the David Doe also said, I don't think he feels like he's gonna face any consequences, so he doesn't feel like he needs to go anywhere because he feels like he's gonna get away with this, just like he's always kind of skirted away, every repercussion. I'm reading Alex Jones is endorsing the GOP Indian guy, the Ramaswamy. That's interesting. I thought Jones would be for Trump. Ramaswamy is pretty freaking conservative. Yeah. He's pretty far right. I think Jones feels backstabbed by Trump. Really? Feels like they're all peas in a pod, all of them. All right, I don't think I have enough time to go through this, but we're gonna go through some of these headlines before we head out. If Trump gets all the charges, I don't think he'll even go to prison. He'll die at home in a luxury with a Secret Service division guarding him. It may very well be the case that ends up being the situation. It may be the case. I don't know. That's kind of it's kind of we'll cross that bridge if we get there kind of deal, because we've never had to see that. We've never had to deal with that as in this country. Speed round. Texas and DOJ face off in the court over the border buoys to deter migrants after state moves the barrier closer to the U.S. side. So these things are basically designed to assist and facilitate the drowning of people. It is completely inhumane. I think it's fucked up, and I think it's messed up that Governor Abbott, of course a Republican, is completely fine and okay with this. I guess the TLDR is that they are fighting for the right to drown migrants, essentially, because this is pretty freaking inhumane. So basically, the DOJ is telling them that they need to remove this stuff, and a third of a human, exactly, and Texas is saying no, we're actually okay, trying to drown and severely maim human beings. We'll see if anything comes about it. If anything changes in this in this case, in this court case. But yeah, this is where we're at. This is where we're at. Sorry if my language is too harsh. Nah, I think it's fine. A majority of Iowa's likely GOP caucus goers believe Trump won the 2020 election. So this is just kind of like a little sneak peek as to how deeply gone the Republican Party is. It's kind of like a little snapshot to illustrate the point that I made earlier, that the Republican Party is just MAGA. There is no difference between Republicans and MAGA Republicans. It's the same. Why don't they just fill the river with piranha? It's cheaper and just as inhumane. Nah, they like to manufacture and be the ones to put the death machines there. If that's true, then he can't run in 2024. True. But it doesn't matter to them. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to make sense. Bipedal meatbag. It doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to be constitutional. It doesn't have to be legal. It just has to make them feel a certain way. A majority of voters likely to attend the Iowa Republican caucuses believe that the former president won the 2020 election. A new Des Moines NBC Mediacom Iowa poll shows. Ask whether you believe or not, believe Donald Trump won. Claims he won the 2020 presidential election. 51% of likely Republican caucus goers say that they believe him, and 40% do not, and 8% are unsure. The fact that there's 51% that think that the election was rigged, 8% are unsure, despite like the obvious and overwhelming evidence, is pretty disturbing, but it's also worth noting to prove that kind of point. Yeah. Among self-identified Republicans, factoring out the independents, Democrats, and other members of the party who say they plan to caucus with the GOP, the portion who believe Trump's claim is even higher. So when you take away like Democrats who, I guess, caucus, maybe to influence the Republican primary, and members of other parties who plan to caucus with the GOP, the portion who actually believe Trump's claim is even higher, about 60%, while 33% do not. Yeah, but who are they calling? Polls are easily manipulated. They're telling you who they're polling. It's right there. They're polling Republican caucus goers, and they even filtered out. People who aren't Republicans but caucus with Republicans, and the result is even worse. The result is even worse. 60% of caucus goers that are Republican, like pure Republican, are living in a fucking fantasy world. They're literally delusional. They're living in a complete and alternate reality that is just not real. Those beliefs linger despite the lack of evidence of substantial voter fraud in the 2020 election and dozens of court cases that have been thrown out. Yeah, 60 to 33 is a big gap. So it's to prove the point, right? What did I say earlier? There is no difference between Republicans and MAGA. They're the same. They believe it because they want to believe it. They want a white supremacist fascist country. Yeah, I mean, they're pretty content with the idea. I mean, like, if you talk to these people, they all talk the same. This is our country. What do you mean by our country? Real America. What do you mean by real America? Yeah. They're all white supremacists? Not all of them. Dog whistles are gone now. They're just saying the thing now. Yep. They literally blame every problem on immigrants. A lot of times, yes, that is the case. Other countries are doing the same in response to climate immigration. Yes, because instead of having a rational response to the climate crisis, conservatives decided to go in the complete far-right eco-fascist direction. You're smarter than that? What do you mean? At what point have I said anything that's not true? The polling shows that the proportion of likely Republican caucus goers who believe Trump won the 2020 election increased after he was indicted in Georgia. Oh my God. Like, this is actual delusion. Like, this is actually, like, delusional. In 2 days of polling before the Georgia indictment, 47% of GOP caucus goers believed that Trump won. In 3 days of polling after the indictment, those who believe rose to 53%. Holy yikes. Correspondent Diana Bird, a 55-year-old from Fort Madison, said she will support Trump in the caucus. Doesn't believe the results in the 2020 election. So then why are you participating? You agree with chat saying that they're white supremacists and fascists. I believe that the Republican Party is yes. The Republican Party, yes. The Republican Party, yes. So 60% of Republicans are Hitler. That's not what I said. I don't think you're listening to me. I mean, if you're unable to understand the difference between when I talk about like the Republican Party, I mean, that's not my fault. Anyways. I mean, like, here's an example. Like, it doesn't get any more clear than that. It doesn't get any more clear than this. The front runner of the Republican Party at this time, the leader of the Republican Party, the face of the Republican Party, the drive of the Republican Party, which is Donald Trump, has literally had dinner with fucking Nick Fuentes, a neo-Nazi. And Kanye, I Love Hitler West. I mean, birds of a feather. Milo Yiannopoulos was there too. Another fucking Nazi. Like, setting up the whole thing for Trump. For Trump and Nick Fuentes. What about Nick Fuentes introducing Marjorie Taylor Greene? And being a huge part of the conservative movement in this country. Nick Fuentes is in a lot of Nick Fuentes has a lot of fucking like connections within the Republican Party. Again, the dude literally had dinner with the former president. So please, like, just don't, okay? Yes, the rapper. The rapper. Kanye, I Love Hitler West. Yes. Yes. I do believe that Trump was cheated. There are many people that I know that call Biden the illegitimate president, that he cheated, and I believe that because I saw it on TV. What? This never happened. So she saw Fox News too much and like believed it. Got it. Mike Brennan was a 55-year-old retiree from Kelowna, previously backed Trump, but has moved on, looking to North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum and former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie. He says he won, he lost. I mean, come on, just accept it. The poll of 406 likely Republican caucus goers was conducted August 13 through August 17 by Seltzer and Co. of Des Moines. It has a margin of error of plus or minus 4.9 percentage points. The findings indicate that Trump's frequent, though baseless, accusations since November of 2020 has left an imprint on much of the Republican Party in Iowa, particularly those who continue to prefer Trump in the 2024 campaign cycle. How are your furry babies doing? Oh, they're hanging out somewhere. Everything on TV is true. So yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty, like, I honestly, could possibly be an extremist, I guess, but it's a reach. Edgy little prick at best. No, he's a fucking Nazi. Okay? He's a fucking Nazi. Not edgy. Not edgy. He's a fucking Nazi. I don't give a shit if he's Hispanic, Italian, I don't care. He's a fucking Nazi. He's not edgy. He's a fucking Nazi, and he's fucking dangerous. Like, there's no point, there's absolutely no, there's no tolerance for downplaying fucking Nazis, dude. Okay? He's a fucking Nazi. Period. Like, there's no debating that. It's his words. This isn't like me making this up. It's literally his words. 23% of Americans believe Trump was robbed, if you believe that poll. True. What is it? What's the running joke? 93% of statistics are made up. I think he's a grifter. No, I think he's a fucking Nazi. And I think it's not okay to downplay that. It's not okay to downplay it, and he's fucking dangerous. So no, I don't appreciate that. No, he's a fucking Nazi. Period. Like, there's no debating that. He can be both a Nazi and a grifter. Yeah, actually, you know what? You're right. It doesn't actually matter if he was a grifter or not, because he's still espousing Nazi shit. Okay? He's still espousing Nazi shit. It doesn't matter. If he's out there espousing Nazi shit, then for all intents and purposes, he's a fucking Nazi. I don't give a shit. It's that simple. You're right, bipedal. Pretending to be a Nazi, spreading Nazi talking points doesn't mean he's a good guy underneath. I'm going to err on the side of what people say they are. Exactly. He'll tell you whether it's true or not. It doesn't fucking matter. He's still espousing and perpetuating Nazi shit. So he's a fucking Nazi in my eyes. It's that simple. And not just my eyes. He's literally said it himself. He talks like a Nazi. He espouses Nazi points. He espouses Nazi ideology. He talks about he espouses anti-Semitism. He jokes and denies about the Holocaust. That's not fucking okay. So no, there's no need to downplay it. He's a Nazi. Yeah, it's not Nazi rocket science. Yeah, he's a fucking Nazi, and like that's it. It's pretty simple, right? Like, if you're out there talking about like, if you're out there like doing like Holocaust denialism, I mean, I don't know, man. Everyone apologizing for Fash sits saying they're just grifting. That time is over. Yeah, like, oh, they're just being edgy. I don't give a shit. Oh, they're just grifting. So? What? I don't care. That makes absolutely zero difference in the outcomes of what they're doing. So, yeah, they're fucking Nazis. Okay? I don't understand. It's really that simple. All right. So we're gonna kind of like follow up on this very, very horrific story. So content warning. This is a story that we talked about yesterday. The suspect who killed the store owner had ripped down the pride flag and shouted homophobic slurs before shooting the store owner over pride flag displays. I mean, this is pretty freaking disturbing. A 27-year-old man killed by California sheriffs over the weekend after he fatally shot a store owner after he ripped down an LGBTQ plus pride flag outside the business and shouted homophobic slurs at the woman, the authorities said on Monday. When deputies confronted Travis, whatever the fuck, on foot, he opened fire on them, striking multiple squad cars, and then they returned and unalived him. Good. He was pronounced, the lady, Laura Ann Carlton, was pronounced dead at the Magpie, the store she owned and operated in Cedar Glen. The small community in San Bernardino is about 60 miles from LA, east of downtown of LA. Investigators are determined that prior to the shooting, the suspect tore down the pride or rainbow flag and yelled many homophobic slurs towards Carlton during that Monday media briefing. This person also posted hate-filled content on social media. The day before the shooting, he was reported missing. Several witnesses reported Carlton shooting and followed him while he ran away. The semi-automatic handgun used by the dude was not registered to him, and he did not have a license to carry. Dick Dicus said the investigation into Carlton's killing was ongoing. The DA will investigate the shooting of the suspect. That's a standard practice. Carlton, who preferred to be Lori, survived by her husband and 9 children in a blended family. An LGBTQ plus group in a nearby said that while she didn't identify as a member of the LGBTQ plus community, she did spend time helping and advocating for everyone. She was defending her pride flags that were placed in front of her shop on the night of the shooting. Fucked up. Yeah, it's incredibly scary. It's incredibly scary. I hope he goes to real prison and gets beaten up. Nah, he got fucking killed by the cops. I remember not feeling comfortable putting my Bernie sign on my house in rural Colorado. It's a shame some people can't handle freedom. Right, because they don't care. They talk about freedom of speech. All these fucking conservatives talk about freedom of speech, but they actually don't believe in it. They actually don't believe in any of that. Yeah. The advocacy group Equality California said in a statement Monday that over the past year it has recorded a sharp increase in anti-LGBTQ plus rhetoric expressed by far-right extremists and hate groups, rhetoric which has resulted in physical intimidation and harassment and acts of violence. Law enforcement agencies in several states have investigated the destruction of rainbow pride flags as a potential hate crime in recent years. I mean, yeah, it kind of is, right? Man who shot the store owner for flying the pride flag was a far-right conspiracist. No surprise. We're going to do a little bit more of a deep dive here. The shooter fled the scene, blah, 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 blah. We saw this. Here we are. The authorities are continuing to investigate this as a possible hate crime. While they believe that the shooter acted alone, authorities are continuing to look into the possibility that he was affiliated with a hate group. But a review of the 27-year-old's social account on X, the platform known as Twitter, and far-right social network Gab, surprise, surprise, the shooter had been embraced a wide range of conspiracy theories, from claiming 9/11 attacks were staged to suggesting that the First Lady Michelle Obama is a man, to denying. Oh, okay. So they think that she's. They think that she is literally a man or a trans man. I don't know. To denying even climate change. He also posted content opposing gun control measures. The shooter spent most of its time sharing online anti-LGBTQ content, reposting and responding to content shared by far-right figures like Matt Walsh and OAN. I mean, like, Is this really surprising? Is this really surprising that someone like Matt Walsh would come up in this story, right? Do we understand now the severity of the situation? Do we understand now just how fucking dangerous conservatives are? Do we understand like how this ideology progresses and what the end result is? Do we understand where this ends? What is the end result? The logical conclusion of this ideology of conservatism? Because this is where it ends. This is where it ends. Because right-wingers project their own inappropriate interests in children onto vulnerable communities and like LGBTQ community and direct their self-hatred onto them. Yeah, but it manifests into real... it manifests into people dying. This woman got shot because she displayed a pride flag in her own shop, in front of her own shop. Nothing to do with anybody else. She displayed this in her own shop, and an altercation resulted in her being shot. What's gained by saying the name of a dead piece of shit? Yeah, that's why I try not to say it. I skip over. I try to skip over their name. Absolutely. Right-wing figures like Matt Walsh and Fringe networks like OAN, his pinned tweet posted in June simply showed a rainbow flag on fire with the caption, "What to do with the LGBTQ flag." On Gab, one of his pinned posts was more explicitly threatening to the LGBTQ community. 100%. This is stochastic terrorism on Matt Walsh's part. Yep, Matt Walsh and all these fucking people doing like the all these people doing like the OK Groomer shit, all of them are fucking complicit. Unsure about projecting innocent interests in children, please explain. They're pedophiles. More often than not, here, I'll be very explicit about it. More often than not, the people that are constantly talking about like LGBTQ people being groomers are oftentimes the people who end up being groomers themselves. Does that make sense? Is that explicit? Is that explicit enough? Oftentimes the people who are levying accusations of like pedophilia and grooming children, oftentimes end up being the groomers or supporting or defending the groomers. That's what they're talking about. That's what I'm talking about. The protest too much I don't know what that even means. I'm saying that the people who talk about the LGBTQ community being pedophiles or being groomers, those people oftentimes end up being the groomers and the pedophiles. Right, all that weird shit with toys of Matt Walsh as a diapered baby, which, by the way, is not on their store anymore. Interesting. That baby Matt Walsh, that weird baby Matt Walsh, he calls his fans the Sweet Baby Gang. So yeah, check Matt Walsh's hard drives. I'll say it again and again and again. Check Matt Walsh's hard drives. We need to stop compromising on this LGBT dictatorship and not let them take over our lives. Stop accepting this abomination that the government is forcing us to submit to these mentally... Jesus Christ. Yeah, so this is literally all like stochastic. This is the culmination of stochastic terrorism. That was pretty creepy, right? But pretty telling, don't you think? I mean, Matt Walsh has defended pedophiles before. In fact, Matt Walsh not only has defended individual pedophiles, but Matt Walsh has also defended one of the most pedophilic institutions, which is the Catholic Church. I mean, I'm just saying, check Matt Walsh's hard drive. True, SV Harkin. Another pinned post on a Gab featured a link to a video entitled When should you shoot a cop along with the capture? There will come a time we have to do this, threatening violence. While the shooter's X profile remains active, his Gab profile was removed later on Monday, and Gab did not immediately respond to comment. The majority of the suspects' posts are infused with an overt Christian nationalism. Yeah, you mean Christofascism, which immediately gives viral anti-Semitism in much of the content that he shared online. Wow, surprise, surprise. Dude was a fucking Nazi. Dude was a fucking Matt Walsh viewer, a Nazi Matt Walsh viewer who ended up shooting a woman because she displayed a pride flag. Yep, this all tracks. The shooter was only following 19 people, including OAN, Trump, conspiracy theorist David Knight, who once worked with Alex Jones. The shooter also followed and boosted right-wing professor and conspiracy theory promoter Jordan Peterson. Not surprising. Like this is the fucking classics, right? Not surprising at all. Jordan Peterson, and of course anti-vax activist Robert F. Kennedy, and the right-wing satirical website The Babylon Bee. None of this is surprising. None of this is surprising, right? But how can conservatism lead to... Well, there you go. While law enforcement continues to look into why the shooter carried out the attack, the victim's daughter, Ari Carlton, told that her family doesn't care about him, will continue to steer the narrative away from him and towards my mother, honoring her. He is irrelevant. Based! The media needs to stop glorifying these individuals by giving them this platform. Fucking based. Check Peterson's hard drive too. Yeah. Laura Carlton, who's a well-known fashion designer and operated two clothing stores, was also known for supporting the LGBTQ community. She spent her time helping and advocating for everyone. Carlton, okay, I think this is all rehashed from the same article. Conservatism is a symptom of low empathy, authoritarian personality, narcissism, and psychopathy. Yeah, and it all culminates and move in that direction. Why does it always end up there? And it's always the same people, right? It's always the same people. Like, oh, well, Jordan Peterson is not really that right wing. Jordan Peterson isn't conservative. Jordan Peterson doesn't even say that he's conservative. All he is some what is it? A coach, like a life coach advocate. Yeah, okay, dude. Messages are being received. The people who are meant to receive these messages obviously understand them, and that's how the pipeline is built. He's not just boring, he's fucking dangerous. I don't understand, it's that simple. So yeah, surprise, we get more information that this dude was like a Matt Walsh and Jordan Peterson fan. I mean, the most boring Canuck you could pull out of Canada. Yeah, I mean, maybe in a vacuum, but he has impacted the world in such a negative way that's not really the word that I would use for him. A quote by Peterson about the dream he had about his grandma's... Oh, Jesus Christ. Really? I mean, not surprising. I'm gonna be honest, not surprising. Yeah, sorry, I don't really have links in the chat. I didn't realize he liked Nietzsche that much. He does, I think. Said 18% of any population will be low enough to be on the empties, to be at act authoritarians, like about narcissists, 2 to 5%. You have 23% of Americans who think that Trump won in the 2020. I mean, I guess. I don't know if it's a explanation, but it's interesting. It's interesting that that matches up. It wouldn't be surprising necessarily. Anyways, is anybody here surprised that it ends up being that this dude was like some kind of like Nazi who followed people like Jordan Peterson, Robert F. Kennedy, the Babylon Bee, Matt Walsh? I mean, is this really surprising? Like, I think the takeaway here is like, these people are escalating. These people are escalating, and they are showing more willingness to commit violence. It's not just, oh, somebody was attacked and beat up. It's somebody was shot and killed for the mere act of displaying pride flags. I'm not surprised that this killing was the one published on the website you're viewing. What are you talking about? I literally had an Associated Press article previously. I didn't just grab this out of Vice News. This is a piggyback. This is a piggyback off a literal Associated Press article. So no, it wasn't just reported by Vice. What are you talking about? Lots of crazies? Okay, but lots of crazies don't shoot people who are influenced by Matt Walsh and other conservatives over a pride flag. It's an example of stochastic terror, exactly, and how it continues to happen, and that it's not just one lone person doing this. It's not just one lone person doing this. Okay? My point is to illustrate the endgame of conservatism. This is what happens when conservatism... I didn't mention Vice. You're putting words in my text. No, you literally said, I'm not surprised that this was the one published on the website you're viewing. The website I was viewing was Vice. Did you think that you were going to slide away from that one? The website that I was currently viewing at the time was Vice. Personally, it makes me a little worried when I show my support. Yeah, and that's the point. That's the point, right? It's to make you afraid. It's to make you afraid. It's to make you self-censor, because they actually don't want... their only method right now is to use violence. It has a difficult truth emblem over the address bar. No, it's pretty obvious. It's not even covered. Anyways. This is the weirdest sea lining I've seen. I haven't made my decision yet. I don't know if this is like trolling, if this is serious, if this is just like aloofness, if this is like sussy. I'm still trying to figure it out. They also get rid of people through legal and administrative means. Yep. But yeah, Abon, that's the point. That's the point. The point is exactly that. It's for you to be afraid. They want you to be afraid. Like Heat said earlier, like I would be afraid of putting my Bernie sticker or something like that on the vehicle. I'm sorry, I forget like the exact comment, but like that's the point. They want you to be afraid because that's the only option they have. They're not popular, and conservatism this is just the natural conclusion. Yeah, I'm not surprised the killing is on this website that I have no idea what it is. Yeah. The sign on the house. Sorry, I'm sorry, on the house, not on the vehicle. Yes, like having a fucking sign could get you shot. Does that like are we like a sign on your house could literally get you shot. because of people, because of right-wing people. That's it. It's literally the right wing who's driving this because they have no other play. That's it. It's fear and it's suppression. And it's on purpose. My uncle kept his Al Gore sign for almost 20 years. Jeez. In Ohio? Home of the brave. You gotta be, I guess. An impressive feat, to be honest. I don't have any political signs. Like, you do know that the Vice logo doesn't even move out of the way when I'm going through the whole article, right? Like, it just doesn't, the comment doesn't make, anyways, I'm just moving on. All right, folks, it is 7:30, so I have to get going. Folks, if you enjoy the content, make sure you hit the follow button. It really does help us out. And no, I guess the bot is still asleep. Oh no, wait, it woke up. It's back. It's back. All right. If you enjoy the content, make sure you hit the follow button. If you're unable to support the channel monetarily, you can still help us out by subscribing to the YouTube channel. And also spread the word far and wide. We'll be here Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. A-Bond coming in with the 200 biddies. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I appreciate your support. You guys are what makes this channel grow. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you guys. Thank you, Heat. Thank you, Michael Hassler, for keeping it chill in the chat. Thank you for all of you folks that are hanging out. Thank you to Simulacra, My Weird Uncle, Heat, Salty, SV Harkin, Michael Hassler, A-Bond. Thank you. Alio, thank you for mixing it up in the chat. SV Harkin, Itchy and Scratchy. I think I got everybody. Bipedal Meatbag, Conscious Canuck, the Simulacra. All right, I think I got most of everybody. Spread it forward, I think, as well. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one tomorrow about 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Take care. Thank you, guys. See ya. Yes, tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern. All right, folks, we're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See ya.